a turtle ever. I don't understand why nobody. Oh, hi there. And welcome to today's episode of the Drawing It Out podcast. The podcast where I pick the subject and together we draw it out. So grab your favorite drawing utensil and join me on this drawing adventure. On today's episode, I'll be drawing Storm on this X-Men 92 blank cover. Is she gonna be bootylicious? Well, hopefully not too bootylicious. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed that intro. I'm going to be doing this from now on instead of just the title card and trying to do the in-mic intro. On today's episode, I'm going to be drawing on an X-Men 92 blank cover. And I got a new pencil, which is super sweet. It's got a pink body, so it matches my pink pencil lid. If you guys remember from the first episode, I let you know that I like to do the pink pencil lid because when I use marker, I don't have to erase as much, and the marker seems to clean it up really well. Another little thing, if you remember from the first episode, I've got dry skin on my knuckles, and apparently, if I just lightly scrape that, it decides it wants to take a chunk out of my flesh. And just like 20 minutes before recording this, I had done such a thing to take a chunk out of my knuckles. So if anybody is concerned, yes, about the wound on my hand, yeah, I was loading the dishwasher and I got my hand caught in between a pan and the top rack, and it decided, you don't need any skin on your hand. And, yeah, it's not fun, and I didn't want to skip this week just to let my knuckle heal up a little bit. I figured you guys would understand. So we are going to be drawing a very 90s inspired, very in living color backup dancer outfitted Storm. The reason I chose to do this kind of Storm is because, it's an X-Men 92 blank, and, why not make her super 90s? This was originally going to be a Jubilee drawing, but I've done quite a few Jubilees, and I was like, you know what? Storm needs some love. Let's do Storm. And Bruno Mars just dropped this finesse video, which super brought back some nostalgia. And I'm not one for modern pop music. Like, I can't stand modern pop music, but that guy, he's got the stuff. But yeah, I guess the video was dedicated to In Living Color, and it just hit every beat. It was like In Living Color, all that, old school hip hop videos, and I wanted to do kind of my own homage to that with one of my favorite X people. Also, Monday, I should be getting a 12-pack of style file markers. And I might do a mini episode for that. Maybe it might be an unboxing. I don't really want to do an unboxing video. There's enough people that do that on the internet. But it'll be kind of like a mini review. I'm going to test those out, see if they're worth buying more. I know this year I might try and invest in Copics, like a new fresh set of Copics. I'm still rocking some old markers that I bought a starter pack, and then I bought a bunch of clearance from my art school's bookstore, which they're drying out. A lot of the colors I use, it may be worth it to buy a refill. I don't know. We'll see. I've got tons of markers. But we'll see how these style files go, and I'll let you know, because there will be a video. But that's enough about art supply talk. Just want to get into how I discovered the X-Men. I discovered them through a lot of what a lot of people my age found them through is the X-Men 92 cartoon. Um, for me, it was kind of like the cartoon you watched if you woke up too early for Spider-Man. It was either Spider-Man or it was the Power Rangers. I'm pretty sure it took place in between those two. And I think my dad really liked it. So we just ended up watching it, and I fell in love with Wolverine because he was the Raphael of the X-Men, or at least, to me, he was the Raphael. I know he predates Raphael and has a richer character than Raphael. I know that's kind of blasphemy, and it's hard to say that being a big Turtle fan, but I'm also a big Wolverine fan. I should probably stop saying that. I mean, most of these things I'm going to be talking about, I'm a huge fan of, or, I at least have some stuff to say about it. But that show, it had so much character in it. Not just, characters, but it was very much like watching a comic book. The things they did on that show, they don't do a lot of these days, and I think that has a lot to do with it was an era when not a lot of people knew anime, and the people that were doing the animation were obviously anime companies. So they were able to do things like you got that gritty black shading that you get in comic books. The character depth, like the stuff that the Fred Wolf studio wasn't doing with Ninja Turtles, and the people that produced He-Man were definitely not doing. Things back then looked flat. Like, you watch Transformers or G.I. Joe, all that shit looks flat. And Spider-Man, X-Men, Iron Man, the Fantastic Four cartoon, they were all giving you comic book level depth. So I really enjoyed the show. Like, you got comic book storylines at the wazoo on that. And, they did pretty faithfully, like, full comic book storylines. You had the Phoenix and Dark Phoenix saga. You had Days of Future Past, which gave us that sweet Storm in the, like, punk outfit with her mohawk fighting alongside Wolverine, and, you got to see them having, the best, or at least my favorite relationship for Wolverine. And, no, I don't think any cartoon since has ever faithfully adapted a comic book. And I'm not talking about, like, animes. I just got the wife sucked into Ranma half last night, and I was like, man, this is a really faithful manga to cartoon adaptation. I had never realized that before. But that's what the X-Men was for me. And from there, I had dabbled in a few comic books. It wasn't, like, the comic books didn't really hit me until my mom got with my stepfather, Steve. That guy, if he didn't give me anything else, it was definitely appreciation for comic books. Like, the way that guy talked about, the X-Men storylines and just comic book storylines in general, he still does to this day. It was like, Christians who read the Bible citing Proverbs. Like, one of the most vivid stories he told me was about Wolverine sneaking up on Magneto and trying to, like, stab him, and Magneto just ripping all the adamantium off his bones. And I didn't believe that for the longest time that was actually a thing, and then I actually read the comic book. He was like, here, remember that storyline I told you about? Here's the comic book. And I soaked that up. You know, that man gave me a deep, deep appreciation for X-Men. He was even the one that introduced me to my favorite storyline. It's a what if. It was what if Storm had stayed a thief instead of joined the X-Men. You know, she's still got the like mohawk and the punk outfit, and I think that's why that whenever I draw Storm, she has the mohawk. I never liked the long hair that she sported in the 90s cartoon. And that white outfit was a little hokey. You know, they should have kept her in like the all black outfit with like the gold highlights, and I'm glad they brought that back. I don't know what they were thinking. Who designed that was like, oh yeah, no, she needs to have like an all white outfit. And apparently, Storm, when she started out, was a nudist. And I was like, well, come on, stay with that, because that was post-comics code. But I'm sure that wouldn't fly these days. There's so much sensitivity with like people like the Mary Sue who want to put Frank Cho on blast for homaging Milo Manara. Which, come on, people. It's just sex. You know, I think there's enough women on Instagram and there's enough girls running around these cosplay conventions that guys like me and Frank Cho and Milo Manara who draw pinup girls and sexy women, we're tame in compared to those people. You know, and if you don't like it, you don't have to pick it up. You don't have to watch this. You don't have to watch this podcast. You don't have to buy the books. I know I'm not really into getting political, but I will throw some tidbits in there. Just, you know, don't buy it. If it's not your thing, don't buy it. I don't see the need to shame anybody for doing the things they like, especially if they don't harm anybody. And if your ego is so harmed by a drawing of a woman, not even a real woman, mind you, a fictional character being sexual or sexy, you need to reevaluate your life. And, you know, maybe me being so incensed by people being sensitive, I should take my own advice, but that's just how I feel. And that's a tangent that has nothing to do with the X-Men. I just had to get that off my chest because it was there. Yeah, so from the X-Men cartoon and the comic books, something strange came along. We got an X-Men movie. Now, prior to that, we'd gotten a Blade movie, and I found out later, because I'd never read Blade, my version of Blade came from the Spider-Man cartoon, which, if they were doing that one, yes, that gritty version of Blade is awesome. Now, David Goyer, the guy that wrote it, was a big comic book fan, or is a big comic book fan. You couldn't tell by the movies that he helps write. But we'd gotten Blade out of that one. So which led into X-Men. And if they had stopped the movie right after Wolverine shows up at the X-Mansion, that would have been a great X-Men movie. But they decided, oh, hey, no, they need to be in black jumpsuits. And, you know, once you got there, you're like, this guy never read. The guy that directed this, and maybe whoever even wrote it, has never read an X-Men comic book. Maybe had seen it a few episodes of the cartoon. but there was no correlation. There was just characters with names that slightly looked the part. Wolverine, which I mean, Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, that's probably why he stood the test of time, was the most like his character from the show and the comic book. And I think that's what saved that movie. X-Men 2 definitely saved that whole franchise. And they had a tough thing to follow, like Spider-Man. Sam Raimi's Spider-Man was a very, very faithful version of Peter Parker. Like, that is probably my favorite Spider-Man movie. Like, I like this new one with Tom Holland, but that one was great. And I'm going to save the Spider-Man talk for another episode. But X2 felt a little more like somebody did their research. Someone had read a little bit of a comic book, and that could have been just a full Wolverine movie. Now, that movie gave us two things, though, that I think that we don't need any more of. We don't need another Weapon X movie. We don't need any more Dark Phoenix saga or attempts at a Phoenix movie. Just knock it off. There's way better storylines. And I really dug the Days of Future Past movie, which may as well have been another just Wolverine movie. But Apocalypse just, it had the makings of such a good movie. I liked the girl that played Storm in that. But it fell short. Thankfully, Logan made up for that movie's, that movie's shortcomings, but it was just a long string of movies that underdelivered. Like, X3 was a piece of shit. Wolverine Origins was half a piece of shit. The not the Days of Future Past, but the First Class was just, Scott is the older brother, not Havoc. And you're going to put together an X-Men team in what's supposed to be the same continuity as your other movies, but you're going to have it be based in the 60s? You gotta be kidding me. And you're going to introduce the Hellfire Club before you introduce Phoenix. They just needed to stop. I think, the ship had sailed for those movies, and I applaud Bryan Singer for coming back, and he attempted to do the X-Men costumes, which he should have done that to begin with. I bet his movies would have been way better received by his fans. Like, I was in the bag for it then because I was a kid. But even as a kid, I knew there just something wasn't right about those. The thing that saved it was that I was a kid and it was Wolverine. And it was Rogue. But once you got into those later Bryan Singer movies with First Class, like, Jennifer Lawrence shouldn't be Mystique. She doesn't look like Mystique. She's not Rebecca Romijn. James McAvoy needs to just commit to shaving his head. Those movies just weren't good. It's kind of sad that it took, the final movie in installment for us to get, like, a beautiful, beautiful comic book movie in Logan. I hope with the new Fox acquisition by Disney that Hugh comes back for at least an Avengers movie. Or I hope whoever they get to replace him is more in line with comic book Wolverine. I hope they get someone like, Gerard Butler or Eric Dane. Although Eric Dane played a character in X3. I can't remember if it was like Marrow or if it was like someone that morphed into a bunch of different versions of himself. It was very a very non-consequential character that I think Wolverine made short work of. And I hope they keep some actresses and actors from the second portion of the Bryan Singer films. As much as I didn't like First Class, and I didn't like all of Apocalypse. Like, Apocalypse wasn't bad, it just wasn't great. Like, they could have done so much better with that, and they wasted Oscar Isaacs. And I think they kind of got screwed because they came out the same year as Deadpool, and Deadpool did amazing. That movie set the bar so high for that franchise. And, I'm excited for March because we get more. And I wonder what they're going to do with Zazie Beetz' eyes. She's got that white domino instead of the traditional black domino, which I don't see why they needed to do that. I mean, you could have just either put the white makeup on her face, or you could have just still done the black domino. But we'll see how that goes. I mean, Rob Liefeld created the character, and he was cool with it. Even though, a lot of people treat Rob Liefeld like he's comic books George Lucas. I think that guy's created some characters that we all love. And, if he's cool with it, I'm cool with it. What I wonder is, when are we going to start seeing some Image comic movies? I want to see a Savage Dragon movie. Someone make a Savage Dragon movie if you're listening to this. We need that character on screen. I would take a Savage Dragon TV show, just like a cop procedural show. That would be where it's at. But I'm rambling, and it's not even X-Men related. I hope you guys like these episodes. I like making them. My topics aren't always linear, and I think I mentioned something about how I hope they keep some of the actors or actresses from the second Bryan Singer thing, and it didn't pay off. I started talking about Deadpool. I hope they bring over the chick that played Storm, since they can't have Lupita Nyong'o or Denai Goyeta from Walking Dead do those characters, because they're both going to be in Black Panther, which I think that'll be an episode. It might be a digital draw for that, but I will review the movie. That won't be a traditional just talk through. I'll go and make notes and give you guys a review of the movie. I'm so excited to see what they do with him, besides what we got to see in Civil War. And, we got Blade. And growing up, watching UPN, I had a lot of, I got to see a lot of people of color on TV, but no one ever kicked as much ass as Wesley Snipes in Blade. So I can't wait to see what Chadwick Boseman does. I'm sure he's going to be great. Like, he was great in Civil War. I love the banter between him and Anthony Mackie. Just so you like cats. That was great shit. And that first trailer with them, Run the Jewels needs to be on everything. If they do make another X-Men movie with Disney, I hope Disney puts Run the Jewels in the trailer. Like, those guys should just be employed by Marvel for soundtracks. I think that's the nerd rap we all need, and they're not giving it to us. But yeah, I think after Black Panther comes out, I'll definitely do like a review and a digital draw. Next episode will probably be Power Rangers. After that, it'll probably be Teen Titans and then Zombie Tramp, and it'll just be me having a conversation. I like doing these where I pick a topic, but I think we'll do some conversational ones where I just chit chat. I read through the first issue of Zombie Tramp. I'd always been interested in Dan Vendos's art because it's very similar to my own, but I'm not sure how hardcore that premise holds up. So we will see. I might read a few more issues before I do that episode. So I hope you all stay tuned. Definitely, if you want to support me, like the Instagram. Go give the Facebook page a like. Or I should say follow me on Instagram and then give the Facebook page a like. Go support me on Patreon if you guys can't afford to do a monthly donation. I'm also on Coffee. And then I've also got a TeePublic store. A lot of these designs that you can find on my social media are up there. And then tune in every week. Hit the subscribe, hit the notification, and I'll see you next week.